If someone has consumed alcoholic drinks, what will help the person overcome the influence of those drinks? A. Tomato juice and lime. B. Hot coffee. C. Fresh air. D. Only time. D. Only time. Only the passage of time will allow a person to overcome the influence of alcohol. Distracted driving is A. Very uncommon. B. Extremely risky behavior. C. Nothing to be concerned about. D. No less safe than driving under any other conditions. B. Extremely risky behavior. Distracted driving is extremely risky behavior that puts not only you and your passengers in danger, but also endangers pedestrians, bicyclists, and other motorists sharing the road. Focused attention on driving helps to prevent crashes. This sign means A. A divided highway ends. B. A one-way street begins. C. A one-way street ends. D. A divided highway begins. D. A divided highway begins. This sign indicates that the road ahead becomes a divided highway. Keep to the right of the divider or median. Braking distance is affected by A. The speed your vehicle is traveling. B. The condition of your brakes and tires. C. The condition of the pavement. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Factors that can affect braking distance include how fast your vehicle is traveling, the condition of your brakes and tires, and the condition of the pavement.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
As a pedestrian, you should A. Always insist on the right of way over a vehicle when using a crosswalk. B. Never enter a street or crosswalk when vehicles are approaching. C. Enter a crosswalk at any time because it is the vehicle driver's responsibility to stop. D. Use crosswalks only if they are convenient. B. Never enter a street or crosswalk when vehicles are approaching. Pedestrians should not enter a street or crosswalk when vehicles are approaching. Though pedestrians have the right of way in crosswalks, a vehicle approaching from a close distance may not have the time to stop before entering the crosswalk. This sign means A. Curves ahead. B. Divided highway starts. C. Divided highway ends. D. Bumps in the road. C. Divided highway ends. This sign warns drivers that the divided highway ends ahead. If you see this sign, you A. Must not pass another vehicle. B. May pass a slow-moving vehicle if you can do so quickly. C. May pass if you know the road ahead. D. May pass, but only at night. A. Must not pass another vehicle. Regulatory signs are white, rectangular signs with black markings. Drivers must obey the instructions posted on all regulatory signs. Where this sign is posted, it is prohibited for drivers to pass one another. What does this road sign mean? A. Slow down and prepare to stop if cars are approaching you. B. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. C. Proceed carefully through the intersection, not always stopping. D. Stop only for traffic on an intersecting road. B. Come to a full stop and go when it is safe to do so. A stop sign means that you must come to a full stop and yield the right of way to vehicles and pedestrians in or heading toward the intersection. Go again when it is safe. Your tire blows out while you are driving. You should A. Slam on your brakes. B. Hold your steering wheel tightly and slow to a stop. C. Keep driving normally. D. Turn on your emergency flashers and continue driving. B. Hold your steering wheel tightly and slow to a stop. If you experience a tire blowout, do not immediately apply the brakes. Grip the steering wheel firmly and steer to remain in your traffic lane. Reduce your speed gradually by releasing the accelerator and staying off the brakes. Once you are moving very slowly, apply the brakes lightly and pull off the road into a safe area. This sign means A. No left turn. B. No stopping. C. No U-turn. D. Detour ahead. This sign means A. Slippery when wet. B. Tow-away zone. C. Steep downgrade. D. Roadwork ahead. A. Slippery when wet. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers to be cautious when driving under conditions that may cause the roadway to become wet and slippery. A work zone. A. May be moving or stationary. B. Is marked with black and white signs. C. Does not require a driver to slow down and pay extra attention. D. All of the above. A. May be moving or stationary. Work zones are often stationary, but they may also be present in the form of moving vehicles striping lines, mowing, or removing snow. Work zones are marked by orange signs with black lettering or symbols. Slow down and pay extra attention when approaching or driving through a work zone. Two solid white lines painted across a traffic lane show the boundaries of a crosswalk. As a driver, you should know that A. Motor vehicles have the right of way over pedestrians in crosswalks. B. When pedestrians are in crosswalks, they should be given the right of way. C. No one has the right of way in a crosswalk. D. Pedestrians are responsible to stay out of the way of all traffic. B. When pedestrians are in crosswalks, they should be given the right of way. Crosswalk lines show pedestrians where to safely cross a road or street. Crosswalks may be marked by horizontal lines, vertical lines, or a combination of the two. You must always stop for pedestrians who are in a crosswalk. On the freeway, you see a merging traffic sign. You should A. Honk at incoming traffic. B. Always remain at your present speed. C. Speed up to avoid congesting traffic. D. Move to another lane, if safe, to let traffic enter. D. Move to another lane, if safe, to let traffic enter. When on a roadway with two or more lanes, you should make room for entering vehicles. If there is no one driving next to you, move over one lane. This sign means A. Low clearance. B. Fines double in a work zone. C. No left turn. D. Do not block intersection. A. Low clearance. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that they are approaching an area with low clearance. Which of the following statements is true? A. A sudden change in weather calls for a change in driving. B. You should slow down when driving in rain and fog. C. Be particularly aware of vehicles coming up behind you in inclement weather. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. If the weather changes suddenly, you will need to adjust your driving to adapt. Always slow down when driving in rainy or foggy conditions. Be especially aware of vehicles behind you that may be going too fast for conditions. This road sign means: A. Drive with caution and be ready to slow down. B. Do not drive in this lane. C. You must come to a complete stop and yield the right of way. D. Slow down, be prepared to stop, and, if necessary, yield the right of way. D. Slow down, be prepared to stop, and, if necessary, yield the right of way. This type of triangular sign means drivers must yield. You must slow down as you come to an intersection marked with this sign and be prepared to stop. Let any other vehicles, bicyclists, or pedestrians pass safely before you proceed. This road sign means: A. When pavement is wet, reduce your speed. B. The road ahead winds a series of turns or curves. C. Traffic increases ahead. D. Steep grade ahead. A. When pavement is wet, reduce your speed. This sign warns that pavement is slippery when wet. In wet conditions, you should reduce your speed, avoid braking or changing direction suddenly, and increase the distance between your vehicle and the one ahead. This sign means: A. Slow down if an emergency vehicle is approaching. B. Look both ways as you cross the intersection. C. Always come to a full stop at the intersection. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. Decrease your speed as you approach an intersection with a yield sign. Prepare to stop and yield the right of way to vehicles and pedestrians in the intersection or crossroad. You must come to a full stop at a yield sign if traffic conditions require it. This sign means: A. Left turn yield on green. B. One way. C. Cattle crossing. D. Two-way left turn. You may cross solid yellow lines. A. To pass traffic moving in the same direction. B. During daylight hours only. C. At any time. D. When making turns. D. When making turns. As a general rule, broken traffic lines may be crossed but solid lines may not. Solid yellow lines may be crossed only when the driver is making a turn. This sign means: A. Watch for trucks. B. Do not pass trucks. C. Truck parking area ahead. D. Steep downgrade ahead. D. Steep downgrade ahead. This sign warns of the presence of a hill ahead. A bicyclist who doesn't obey traffic laws? A. Is in the right because bicyclists don't have to obey traffic laws. B. Can be ticketed. C. Will always receive a warning from law enforcement. D. Will have their bicycle impounded. B. Can be ticketed. All bicyclists have the same rights, duties, and responsibilities as drivers of motor vehicles. Motorists and bicyclists who do not obey traffic laws can be ticketed. Before turning, you should A. Use your signal. B. Turn the wheel. C. Increase your speed. D. Change lanes. A. Use your signal. To complete a turn safely, you should activate your turn signal 3 to 4 seconds before your turn. This sign means A. No U-turn. B. No turning. C. No left turn. D. No right turn. A. No U-turn. This sign prohibits U-turns. Do not make a U-turn where this sign is posted. A person's ability to drive can be impaired by A. Alcohol. B. Any medication. C. A. Lack of sleep. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. The ability to drive safely is dependent on the driver being in good physical condition. Driving can be impaired by alcohol, legal and illegal drugs, and being drowsy. This sign means A. Highway changes ahead and to the right. B. Hiking trails ahead and to the right. C. Hotel ahead and to the right. D. Hospital ahead and to the right. D. Hospital ahead and to the right. This sign indicates that hospital emergency services are located to the right. When parallel parking between two cars, you should first A. Turn your wheels to the left. B. Turn your wheels to the right. C. Pull up even with the car in front of your desired parking space. D. Back slowly. C. Pull up even with the car in front of your desired parking space. After finding a parking space, checking traffic, and signaling, you should stop parallel to the vehicle directly ahead of your desired parking space before turning your wheel to park. When driving in fog, you should use your A. Low beam headlights. B. High beam headlights. C. Parking lights. D. Hazard flashers. A. Low beam headlights. If you must drive in foggy conditions, you should use your low beam headlights, as well as your fog lights, if your vehicle has them. High beams direct their light upwards, where it can bounce off the fog and into your eyes, reducing visibility even more. This sign means A. Roundabout ahead. B. Lane ends, merge left. C. Turn around. D. Curve ahead. A. Roundabout ahead. This sign indicates that a roundabout is ahead. Enter a roundabout at a low speed and yield to existing traffic. This sign means A. No parking. B. Divided highway ahead. C. Left turn signal. D. Yield. A. No parking. Regulation signs regulate traffic speed and movement, displaying rules which drivers must obey. This regulation sign indicates that parking is not permitted. This sign means A. Winding road. B. No parking. C. Right lane closed. D. Multiple turns. A. Winding road. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a winding road and that they should adjust their speed accordingly. A fully loaded tractor-trailer traveling at 55 miles per hour could take up to fill in the blank to come to a complete stop. A. 50 feet. B. 125 feet. C. 400 feet. D. 750 feet. C. 400 feet. Tractor-trailers take longer distances to stop than smaller cars traveling at the same speed. A fully loaded tractor-trailer may take almost 400 feet to come to a complete stop when driving at 55 miles per hour. If your turn signals fail, you should use fill in the blank to indicate that you are turning. A. Your horn. B. Your headlights. C. Hand signals. D. Your emergency flashers. C. Hand signals. If your vehicle's turn signals do not work, you should use hand signals to indicate when you intend to change direction. You are driving on a busy street and your vehicle's accelerator sticks open. You should A. Blow your horn. B. Slam on your brakes. C. Turn on your four-way flashers. D. Turn off your ignition, taking care not to engage the steering wheel locking mechanism. D. Turn off your ignition, taking care not to engage the steering wheel locking mechanism. If your vehicle's accelerator sticks open, your vehicle will continue to maintain its speed or accelerate, even if you remove your foot from the gas pedal. Turn off the ignition, using care to move the ignition switch only far enough to stop the engine and not engage the steering wheel locking mechanism. Apply your brakes and move off the road to a safe area. This sign shows one type of A. Right turn. B. Intersection. C. Lane change. D. Road curve. When stopped for a traffic violation or at an equipment check, the driver must produce A. Proof of insurance. B. Their license. C. Proof of registration. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. When stopped for a traffic violation or at an equipment check, the driver is responsible for producing their license, proof of registration, and proof of insurance. Drivers are required to have all three of these documents in a vehicle when it is being driven. A red flashing traffic light has the same meaning as A. Solid red light. B. Stop sign. C. Yield sign. D. Caution sign. B. Stop sign. A red flashing traffic signal has the same meaning as a stop sign. When approaching a red flashing signal, come to a complete stop and proceed when it is safe to do so. A stop sign may sometimes also be posted where this signal is located. This sign means A. Pedestrians ahead. B. End of construction zone. C. School crossing ahead. D. Flagger ahead. D. Flagger ahead. This sign indicates that there is a flagger ahead controlling traffic in a construction area. Stress can affect your driving by A. Lowering your ability to focus on driving. B. Decreasing your chances of an accident. C. Causing you to fall asleep at the wheel. D. Making you more aware of others around you. A. Lowering your ability to focus on driving. Emotions can have a great effect on your driving ability. You may not be able to drive well if you are overly worried, excited, afraid, angry, or sad. Stress can lessen your concentration on the task of driving. It is better to wait to drive than to risk driving while you are emotionally unstable.